Hey there, YouTube. I know this video is not going to be very useful to a lot of people, but I thought I'd upload it anyways. There really wasn't very many of these cameras made. According to Bill McBride in Graflex Historic Quarterly, Volume 14, Issue 3, third quarter of 2009, there were about 43 fan type and 57 governor type number 16 circuits constructed. Nearly a third of them have survived today. This was back in 2009, so there might be even less out there. But if you're just curious or find watching somebody work on cameras entertaining, then this video might be for you. I've still got a number of videos coming out for this camera. This is only one of a few. I still need to make some tripod legs and actually do some work testing the camera now that the motor works. But enough with all of that, let's get started on the repair. Starting off, the pneumatic motor release cylinder. Mine seemed pretty gummed up. I'm assuming somebody had oiled it at some point in time because it's quite sticky. After attempting to use my blood pressure cuff bulb to get it to actuate, I just removed it. There's two flathead screws on the bottom of it. Once you get those out, it comes off easy enough. I fiddled with it off camera before coming back and pulling it out the rest of the way. After I removed it, I just cleaned it with some isopropyl alcohol and wiped off the extra dirt, grime, grease, dried oil, whatever it was. I used a Q-tip and some alcohol to clean the inside of the cylinder as well as the piston itself. I typically reassemble these with no oil or any sort of lubricant on them. I think they're supposed to be ran dry, and this seems to be working well enough after all that was cleaned off that I don't think it needs to be lubricated. This will also prevent future dust from building up. And it seems to function fine on the camera. Starting off, run the motor and exhaust all built-up energy. You don't want anything left over. You don't want to cause damage to the camera or hurt yourself in the process, so follow this step. Next, remove the tensioning nut, clutch, and spring assembly off the top of the drum. This one is a lot easier to work on than the number 10. You don't have as many levers and components that need to be pulled off the outside, so once you're done with the clutch assembly, you can immediately move to removing the motor plate. I don't know if it's 100% necessary for you to log each screw, but I do. There are far smarter individuals who produce these cameras and worked on them, so I would rather not risk anything and number each one of mine, each one of the bottom screws, and put them off to the side. You'll notice that some of them are a little bit difficult to remove. I have another video coming out soon on how to repair the bodywork with some old scrap pieces of mahogany. I had to repair the focusing screen on my number 10, so I'll be showing a video on how you can fix holes in the bodies of these cameras in that video. Once you remove all the screws, you're pretty much home free to get the motor plate completely off. I'm leaving the spring barrel inside the body as I don't need to pull it out just yet, and I can safely remove the backing plate for the motor assembly. Here I'm just inspecting to make sure that there's nothing too crazy going on, and I just want to get a feel for the motor and see how much play it has. Once you're done looking at your motor, go ahead and set it to the side and remove the spring barrel assembly. It should come out including the rod that goes and runs the length of the drum. Safely remove it and set it off to the side after you're done looking at it. Mine was covered in a bunch of graphite. I don't know if somebody graphited the whole motor or if it escaped from the barrel, but everything was covered in this fine dust of graphite. Here I'm inspecting the ratcheting mechanism. You can see there's a slight sheen or shine to the edge of the tips. That's likely damage that I was having with the motor not being able to hold a charge before. You can see the graphite is everywhere. It's coating my hands. I should have probably worn gloves for this. Again, just inspecting all of the components. Funny enough, this thing weighs 4 pounds 7 ounces, or about or about 2 kilograms. That's one big spring barrel. Somebody told me that this thing has a 40-foot spring inside of it, and I'm not ready to pull mine apart, so I'll just have to believe them. This motor is very simple. It only has 4 square nuts on top for the upper plate. I go around and I start by loosening each one before removing them by hand. Now I'm pulling the washers out, setting them aside. Once you have that in the clear, slowly using your fingers only, no pry tools, push up on the upper plate to remove it from each one of the studs or standoffs. Once the upper plate is clear, go ahead and set it to the side. Remove each one of your gears until you're down to the last 2 that can't be removed on their own without extra work. The first one of those gears is the gear drive for the external rotation. Once you push out the pin, it'll safely come out. It's probably not smart to use a pair of needle nose like I am, but I didn't have anything else to push it out, and it came out super easy. So my guess would be just using your fingers and a flat blade or something would be able to push it out. It didn't take very much to come out. Maybe mine was easy to come out and yours won't be, but for me it was quite easy. The other difficult gear to remove here is just needs a flat blade. Once you back off the grub screw for it, you're able to safely push it through the body and remove it. It's a bit of a flywheel and a fan drive all in one piece. Kind of interesting little part. The cleaning supplies for this is really simple. You probably already have it in your cabinets. A bit of paper towels, acetone, a shot glass sized beaker, an old toothbrush, a pencil sharpener, and some bamboo chopsticks, which I'll show you here in a minute what those are for. Lastly, don't forget to have some Q-tips on the standby. As far as the upper plate and lower plate is concerned, we want to make sure that not only are we cleaning the outside surfaces, but that we're also cleaning all of the journals. First, let's glove up. The way I've decided to clean these journals out is I use these chopsticks. Make sure they're disposable. Don't get your nice ones out. You're not going to use these again, especially after we get chemicals on it. What you see here is just me inserting it into each journal and cleaning out any surface debris. The bamboo is much softer than the brass, so it shouldn't cause any marring or damage. In between cleaning each one, I'm also putting some acetone on it to help break up any leftover material. Once you're done with the upper plate, make sure you do the lower plate as well. Every surface needs to be cleaned. Any surface that has the gears moving on it, make sure it gets clean. When you get down to the smaller journals, make sure you use a pencil sharpener to reduce the size of your bamboo skewer or chopstick or whatever you're using. Then you can safely coat it with acetone and clean out those as well. Once you've cleaned out all of the journals, make sure you get your shot glass sized beaker out and just start scrubbing away at all the old grease and dried oil and debris and whatever else was left on this camera. I may not show it here, but you also need to make sure that the ratcheting mechanism gets at least a little bit of cleaning. It's not easy to get into it. You can't disassemble it, so try to clean it as best you can and then blow it out. When it comes to cleaning the gears, just clean the surfaces for wherever the bearings are going to meet and make sure you clean between each tooth. Super simple, easy. There really wasn't that much work here. Just run through and clean each gear. Make sure you clean your pin as well. Make sure you clean both the gear and ratcheting mechanism on your spring barrel. The oil I use for all of my cameras is Triflow. I've used it for years now. Anything from a copal shutter all the way up to these Cirkut cameras. Works very well. One drop of oil for each bearing surface, and then I like to hand turn each gear in place to make sure the lubricant is distributed properly. Once you've lubricated all of the surfaces, remove all the gears, set them aside, and grab the fan drive / flywheel gear. Slide it into position and take note of the part of the shaft that's notched out for the grub screw. Slide it into position, then tighten. Double check that it moves freely before installing the next gear. Check and test fit often to make sure everything is going together well. Again, a drop of oil for each one, but this might be a little bit too much. I think I over lubricated quite a few of these, so I had to clean off a bit of excess. Once you're ready, install the upper plate, all the while testing the gears. Make sure that you can still move everything freely and everything moves without issue. Once you're ready, reinstall the washers as well as the square nuts for the upper plate. Wipe down any excess oil and then cinch down all of the nuts. You don't need a lot of pressure here, not even 1/8 of a turn, and it's done. Don't forget to install your pin for the gear drive. Make sure you put a drop of oil down for your spring barrel and install the shim if it has it. Once you've completed that, make sure you remount the whole motor assembly back into the camera, reinstall the clutch, and then do a static motor test. I'm only putting about 10 or so half turns onto the motor before engaging. I don't need to fully charge this, I just want to make sure it works. With everything functioning properly, that's pretty much it for this video. I have more videos coming about this camera, so make sure you get subscribed. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time.